The rain was relentless, hammering the cobblestone streets of Salem, Massachusetts, as if the sky itself was trying to drown my mistakes. I clutched the ancient manuscript to my chest, its leather cover slick under my trembling fingers, and ran through the storm, my sneakers splashing in puddles that reflected the neon glow of the occult shop signs. I'd screwed up big time, and now something was awake. Something that wasn't supposed to be. My name's Eli Carter, a 28-year-old freelance translator with a knack for dead languages and a habit of sticking my nose where it doesn't belong. I'd been hired by the Salem Historical Society to decipher a cryptic text rumored to be tied to the town's witch trial past. The job was simple: translate the old draconic script. Get paid. Move on. But the moment I whispered the final line aloud in my cramped apartment, the air had shimmered. My heart had seized. And he appeared, Prince Kale Dravenar, a dragon shifter from a realm I didn't even believe existed. Now, as I ducked into an alley to catch my breath, my pulse thundered louder than the storm. Kale's voice echoed in my mind, low and commanding, from when he'd materialized in a burst of silver flame. You read my soul. Mortal, you are my mate. Mate. Me. I was just a guy who liked books more than people, who'd never even had a serious boyfriend, let alone been claimed by a mythical prince with eyes like molten amber and a presence that made my knees weak. I pressed my back against the brick wall, the manuscript heavy in my hands. The words I'd spoken ancient. Forbidden Hand just translated a story. They'd unbound Kale's soul from the pages, linking us in a way I couldn't comprehend. I wasn't special. I wasn't brave. I was just Eli, the guy who'd once tripped over his own feet at a pride parade while trying to hold a rainbow flag and a coffee. Footsteps echoed at the alley's mouth, deliberate and unhurried. My heart lurched. I peeked around the corner and saw him, Kale, his tall frame cutting through the rain like a blade. His dark coat clung to his broad shoulders, and his silver-streaked hair glistened under the streetlights. He wasn't human. Not entirely. And the way he moved screamed predator. Yet when his gaze locked onto mine, there was something else, something soft, almost desperate. Eli, he called, his voice a low rumble that vibrated through my bones. You can't run from this. From us. I bolted. Stupid. Maybe. But my brain was screaming danger while my heart was doing something else entirely, something that felt like yearning. I darted through Salem's winding streets, past witch museums and candlelit storefronts, until I reached the edge of the forest that bordered the town. The manuscript was still clutched to my chest, its weight both a burden and a tether to whatever I'd unleashed. The forest was dark, the kind of dark that swallowed sound and sense. I stumbled over roots, my glasses fogging from the rain and my own panicked breaths. I didn't know where I was going, just away. Away from Kale. Away from the impossible truth that I'd somehow bound myself to a dragon prince who claimed I was his destiny. But destiny doesn't care about your plans. A hand grabbed my arm. Firm, but not cruel. And I was spun around to face him. Kale's amber eyes glowed faintly in the dark. And for a moment, I forgot how to breathe. Up close, he was devastating, sharp cheekbones, a jawline that could cut glass, and a warmth in his gaze that made me want to lean in despite every instinct screaming to pull away. Why are you running? He asked, his voice softer now, almost pleading. Rain dripped from his hair, trailing down his face like tears. Because this is insane. I snapped, yanking my arm free. I'm not your mate. I'm not even supposed to be in your world. I just read a stupid book. You didn't just read it, Kale said, stepping closer. You spoke my soul's truth. You saw meal of mean, you didn't look away. I wanted to argue, to tell him he was wrong. But the memory of that moment in my apartment stopped me. When I'd read the final line, I'd felt him, not just his presence, but his pain. his loneliness, his centuries of waiting for someone to break the curse that bound him to the manuscript. I'd felt his heart, and it had felt like mine. "I don't know what you want from me," I whispered, my voice breaking. "I'm nobody." Cale's hand lifted, hesitating before brushing a wet strand of hair from my forehead. His touch was warm, grounding, and it sent a shiver through me that had nothing to do with the cold. "You're everything," he said. "You're the one who set me free." Before I could respond, a low growl rumbled through the forest, not Cale's, but something else, something bigger. His eyes darkened, and he pushed me behind him, his body tensing like a coiled spring. "Stay close," he murmured. "They found us." "Who?" I stammered, my heart racing. Cale's jaw tightened. "The ones who cursed me. The ones who'll do anything to keep us apart." The forest seemed to close in around us, the air thick with a menace I couldn't name. Cale's hand found mine, his grip steady despite the danger lurking in the shadows. I didn't know what was coming, but I knew one thing. I'd accidentally started something far bigger than myself, and there was no going back. We moved quickly, Cale leading me through the dense trees with a grace that belied his size. My sneakers sank into the mud, and I struggled to keep up. The manuscript still clutched tightly. "Who are they?" I panted, dodging a low branch. "The Order of the Obsidian Flame," Cale said, his voice clipped. "A sect of dragonkin who believe my bloodline is a threat to their power. They bound my soul to that book to keep me from claiming my throne and my mate." "Your throne?" I nearly tripped over a root. "You're a prince and a king." "Not yet," he said, glancing back with a wry smile that made my stomach flip. "But I will be, with you by my side." I didn't have time to process that. A piercing shriek split the air, and a figure emerged from the mist, a woman with eyes like burning coals and scales glinting along her arms. She was dragonkin, like Cale, but where he was warmth and strength, she was cold, predatory menace. "Cale Dravenar," she hissed, her voice dripping with venom. "You dare break the binding." Cale's grip on my hand tightened. "I didn't break it. Seraphine." "He did." He nodded toward me, and I felt like the world's most unprepared hero. Seraphine's gaze locked onto me, and I swore I felt my soul shrink. "A human?" she sneered. "Pathetic. You'll die for this, boy." Before I could blink, Cale roared a sound that shook the earth and shifted. Scales rippled across his skin, his form expanding into something massive, majestic, and terrifying. A dragon, silver and black, with wings that blotted out the moon. I stumbled back, the manuscript slipping from my hands as I gaped at him. "Run, Eli." Cale's voice boomed. No longer human, but still unmistakably his. "Get to the clearing." I didn't argue. I grabbed the book and ran, my heart pounding as the sounds of battle erupted behind Maror's. Crashes, the screech of claws against scales. The clearing was just ahead, a wide, open space where the moonlight poured down like a spotlight. I collapsed against a tree, gasping, the manuscript heavy in my arms. But as I caught my breath, I realized I wasn't alone. Shadows moved at the edge of the clearing, more dragonkin, their eyes glinting with malice. Seraphine's voice echoed in my mind. "You'll die for this." I clutched the manuscript tighter, my fingers brushing the ancient words I'd read aloud. I didn't know what they meant. Not fully, but I knew they were the key to everything: Cale's freedom, his throne, and maybe, just maybe, the impossible connection between us. The clearing was a trap, and I'd walked right into it. The shadows coalesced into 3 dragonkin, their scales glinting like obsidian in the moonlight. They moved with a predator's grace, circling me like wolves sizing up prey. My heart hammered so hard I thought it might burst. But I clutched the manuscript tighter, its leather cover grounding me as my mind screamed. You're just a translator. Eli, you're not built for this. Hand over the book. Human. One of them growled. A man with a jagged scar across his face and eyes that burned red. Or we'll rip it from your corpse. I swallowed hard, my voice shaking but defiant. You'll have to try harder than that. Brave words for someone whose knees were knocking. But I wasn't about to let them see me crumble. Not when Kale was fighting for his life and maybe for mesomewhere in the forest. The scarred dragonkin lunged. But before he could reach me, a deafening roar shook the clearing. Kale's massive form crashed through the trees, his silver scales gleaming as he slammed into the dragonkin, sending him sprawling. His wings flared, shielding me from the others, and his amber eyes locked onto mine for a fleeting moment. Even in his dragon form, I could feel his protectiveness, his desperation to keep me safe. Stay behind me. Kale's voice rumbled, deep and resonant, vibrating through my chest. I scrambled back, clutching the manuscript as he faced the dragonkin. They didn't hesitate, shifting into their own draconic form smaller than Kale's, but no less deadly. The clearing erupted into chaos. Claws slashing, fire sparking, and roars that made my ears ring. I should have been terrified, but something else stirred in Maya reckless. Stupid need to help. I flipped open the manuscript, my fingers trembling as I scanned the old draconic script. The words were alive, pulsing with a power I could feel in my bones. I didn't know what I was looking for, but I remembered the sensation when I'd first read Kale's soul allowed a connection. A spark. Maybe there was something in these pages that could tip the scales. Eli. No. Kale's voice cut through the chaos as he saw me open the book. Don't read it again. But I was already tracing the lines, my lips moving before I could stop myself. The words poured out, ancient and heavy, and the air around me shimmered. A pulse of energy surged from the manuscript, knocking the dragonkin back and sending a shockwave through the clearing. Kale staggered, his dragon form flickering as if caught between worlds. What did you do? He growled, his voice strained as he shifted back to human form, his chest heaving. He grabbed my shoulders, his eyes wild with worry. You could have killed yourself. I was trying to help. I shot back, my voice cracking. I'm not just going to stand here while you fight for me. Kale's grip softened, his thumbs brushing against my collarbone. For a moment, the chaos faded, and it was just us 12 people caught in something bigger than either of us could handle. You're too stubborn for your own good, he murmured, a faint smile tugging at his lips. The moment shattered as Seraphine's voice cut through the night. Fools, she hissed, emerging from the trees, her scales glinting with dark fire. You think your little bond can defy the order. The book will be ours, and your prince will burn. Kale pushed me behind him again, but I wasn't having it. Stop treating me like I'm helpless. I snapped, stepping forward. I started this. I'm finishing it. Seraphine laughed, a cold, cutting sound. You, a human who stumbled into power he can't control. You're nothing. Her words stung, but they also lit a fire in me. I wasn't nothing. I'd read Kale's soul, felt his heart, and somehow, I'd survived. That had to mean something. I opened the manuscript again, my eyes scanning for anything that could help. The words seemed to shift under my gaze, as if responding to my desperation. Eli, don't, Kale warned. But there was no stopping me now. I found a passage that felt different, warmer, brighter, like a promise. I read it aloud, my voice steady despite the fear clawing at my chest. The air hummed, and a golden light erupted from the book, wrapping around Kale and me like a shield. Seraphine screamed, her form recoiling as the light burned her scales. The other dragonkin faltered, their attacks slowing as the glow intensified. Kale stared at me, his eyes wide with something like awe. How? He whispered. I don't know, I admitted, my voice shaking. But I'm not letting them take you. The light faded, but the dragonkin were gone, retreated into the shadows. Kale pulled me close, his arms wrapping around me like a lifeline. You're impossible, he murmured against my hair, his voice thick with emotion. And I'm starting to think you're the one saving me. I leaned into him, my heart racing for reasons that had nothing to do with danger. Don't get used to it, I mumbled, but my voice betrayed the warmth spreading through me. For the first time, I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, I was more than just a translator. We didn't have long to savor the moment. Kale pulled back, his expression grim. They'll be back, he said. The order won't stop until the manuscript is destroyed, or we are. Then we destroy it first, I said, surprising myself with my own resolve. Or we use it to end this. Kale's eyes searched mine, and I saw something new in them: respect, maybe even trust. You're not what I expected, he said softly, but you're exactly what I need. We moved deeper into the forest, the manuscript a heavy weight between us. Kale explained as we walked. The Order of the Obsidian Flame had cursed him centuries ago, binding his soul to the book to prevent him from uniting the Dragonkin clans and challenging their rule. The manuscript was more than a prison, it was a weapon, capable of rewriting fate if wielded by the right person. Apparently, that person was me. Why me? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. I'm not a hero. I'm not even brave. Kale stopped, turning to face me. You read my soul, Eli. You saw my pain, my hopes, my everything, and you didn't run. That's braver than you know. His words hit me harder than I expected, stirring something deep and unfamiliar. I wanted to argue, to tell him I was just a guy who'd made a mistake. But the way he looked at me like I was worth something made me want to believe him. We reached an old stone circle, a relic of Salem's ancient past, hidden deep in the forest. Kale said it was a place of power, where the manuscript's magic could be amplified. If we're going to use the book, it has to be here, he said, his voice low. But it's dangerous. The Order will sense it. Then we'd better be ready, I said, trying to sound braver than I felt. I opened the manuscript, my fingers trembling as I searched for the right words. Kale stood beside me, his presence steadying me as I began to read. The air crackled with energy, and the stone circle glowed faintly, as if waking from a long sleep. But before I could finish, the ground shook, and Seraphine's voice echoed through the trees. You're too late, she snarled, stepping into the circle with a dozen dragonkin at her back. This ends now. The stone circle pulsed with a life of its own, the air thick with magic and menace. Seraphine stood at the center, her scales shimmering like liquid night. Her eyes locked on me with a hatred that made my skin crawl. The dragonkin flanked her, their claws glinting in the moonlight, ready to tear us apart. Kale stepped in front of me, his body tense, but I could feel his strength waning. He'd fought too many battles tonight, and I wasn't about to let him face this alone. Stay back, Eli, he growled, his voice rough with exhaustion. But I was done hiding. I'd started this mess, and I was going to finish it, or at least try. I clutched the manuscript, its pages warm under my fingers, and scanned for anything that could help. The words seemed to dance, shifting into patterns I hadn't noticed before. It was as if the book was alive, responding to my desperation, my need to protect Kale. I found a passage that felt right, powerful, defiant, like a call to arms. I didn't know what it would do, but I trusted my gut. Eli, don't, Kale shouted. But I was already reading. My voice steady despite the chaos around us. The words flowed, ancient and resonant, and the stone's circle blazed with golden light. The dragonkin flinched, their scales hissing as the light burned them. Seraphine screamed, her form twisting as if the magic was unraveling her from the inside. You think you can wield that power? She spat, lunging toward me. But Kale was faster, tackling her to the ground with a roar that shook the earth. They grappled, claws and fire clashing, and I kept reading, pouring everything I had into the words. The light grew brighter, wrapping around Kale like armor, giving him strength. But it wasn't enough. Seraphine broke free, her claws slashing across Kale's chest. He staggered, blood dripping onto the stones. And my heart stopped. Kale, I screamed, dropping the book and running to him. I'm fine, he gasped. But he wasn't. His face was pale, his breathing ragged. I knelt beside him, my hands shaking as I pressed them against his wound, trying to stop the bleeding. Don't you dare die on me, I whispered, tears burning my eyes. You said I was your mate, right? So you don't get to leave me. Kale's hand covered mine, his touch warm despite the blood. Not going anywhere, he murmured, his voice weak but steady. Not without you. Seraphine's laugh cut through the moment, cold and cruel. How touching, she sneered, stalking toward us. But it changes nothing. The book is mine, and your bond will break. I grabbed the manuscript, my hand slick with Kale's blood, and stood. You want it, I said, my voice trembling but firm. Come and get it. She lunged, but I was ready. I read the final line of the passage, pouring every ounce of my fear, my anger, my love for Kale into the words. The light exploded, a wave of power that sent Seraphine and her dragonkin flying back. The stone circle cracked, the air humming with energy as the manuscript's magic surged through me. When the light faded, Seraphine was gone, her followers scattered. The manuscript lay open at my feet, its pages glowing faintly. Kale struggled to his feet, leaning on me for support. You did it, he said, his voice filled with awe. I don't know what I did, I admitted, my heart still racing. But I'm not done yet. We stumbled out of the stone circle, Kale's arm around my shoulders, the manuscript tucked under my arm. The forest was quiet now, the threat gone for the moment. But I knew the Order wouldn't give up. They'd come for us again, and we had to be ready. As we reached the edge of Salem, the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. Kale stopped, turning to face me. You're more than a translator, Eli, he said, his voice soft but certain. You're my equal, my partner. I looked into his eyes, those amber depths that held centuries of pain and hope, and felt something shift inside me. I'm still figuring out what that means, I said, a small smile tugging at my lips. But I'm not running anymore. Kale's hand brushed my cheek, his touch sending warmth through me. Good, he said, because I need you. For the first time, I didn't argue. I leaned into his touch, letting myself believe that maybe, just maybe, I was enough. Dawn broke over Salem, casting a golden glow over the town's quiet streets. Kale and I sat on the steps of the old library, the manuscript resting between us like a sleeping beast. His wounds were bandaged, thanks to a kind-hearted nurse at the local clinic who didn't ask too many questions about the claw marks. We were safe, for now, but the weight of what we'd been through and what was still to come hung heavy in the air. I traced the cover of the manuscript, my fingers lingering on the worn leather. What do we do with it? I asked, my voice quiet. If the Order wants it this badly, it's too dangerous to keep. Kale's hand covered mine, his touch steadying me as always. We destroy it, he said. But not yet. There's one last thing it can do. I frowned, meeting his gaze. What? He hesitated, his amber eyes searching mine. It can seal our bond, he said softly. Make it unbreakable. The Order can't touch us if we're fully bound as mates. My heart skipped a beat. You mean, like, forever? Kale's lips curved into a rare, gentle smile. Forever's a long time, Eli. But with you, it doesn't feel long enough. I laughed, despite the ache in my chest. You're such a sap, I said, but my voice cracked, betraying the warmth spreading through me. I'd spent my life avoiding commitment, convinced I wasn't built for it. But with Kale, it felt different, like I'd found a home I didn't know I was searching for. We returned to the stone circle that night, under a sky blazing with stars. Kale had explained the ritual, a few words from the manuscript, spoken by both of us, to bind our souls not just to each other, but to the power that had brought us together. It was risky, any magic involving the book was, but I trusted him. And, more surprisingly, I trusted myself. We stood in the center of the circle, the manuscript open between us. Kale took my hand, his fingers intertwining with mine, and we began to read. The words were different this time, soft, hopeful, like a vow. The air shimmered, and I felt him, not just beside me, but inside me, his heart beating in time with mine. The bond was real, tangible, a warmth that settled deep in my chest. When we finished, the manuscript glowed one last time before crumbling to ash, its power spent. Kale pulled me close, his lips brushing my forehead. It's done, he whispered. You're mine, and I'm yours. I looked up at him, my heart full. No more running, I said, and I meant it. The Order didn't come for us again. Not that night or the nights that followed. Maybe they'd given up. Or maybe the bond was stronger than their hate. Kale and I stayed in Salem, building a life together, one filled with quiet mornings, late-night talks, and the occasional dragon flight under the stars. I wasn't just a translator anymore. I was a partner, a mate, someone who'd face the impossible and come out stronger. And as we stood together on a hill overlooking the town, the wind carrying the scent of autumn leaves, I realized something. Love isn't about being perfect or fearless. It's about showing up, even when you're scared, and choosing someone every day. I'd chosen Kale, and he'd chosen me. That was enough.